Well, good afternoon there, guys. This is Bob Lollard from the Cornish Crusade, and we're doing something, as you can see, a little bit different this afternoon. I've been playing on and off Castles and Crusades solo for a little while, and I just thought that I would record this session with you. So, without any further ado, we're just going to go straight to the gameplay. What you can see here is our party of heroes. They're going down into a crypt or a dungeon. To give you some backstory, our two main player characters, as it were, is this priest here. His name is Brother Leor, and he is a level 3 human cleric. And his friend here, this is Lothwinner, a level 3 dwarf paladin. And they are essentially going to root out what remains of a fire cult in the town of Zarada. They pulled up just a few days ago, and they broke in essentially on a ritual where an elf maiden was being sacrificed by a fire priest. And in the process, they managed to kill most of the corrupted guards of the town of Zarada and the Lord of Zarada, a guy by the name of Lord Tabor. However, in the ensuing scuffle, which involved a couple of the locals, this is Bira, a local hedge nun, and Bede, who's a travelling dwarf warrior. This is a town guard from the city of Thresh that they picked up along the way. In the proceeds of that scuffle, however, the fire priest himself, by the name of Denby, and the wife of Lord Tabor, the Lady Hamutal, escaped into the Crypt of Zarada, which is an underground complex at the underneath the town. So, having kept watch over the crypt to make sure that they didn't escape, the heroes now, after a few days of resting and getting their health back, are going to go into the dungeon and hopefully find Denby and Hamutal and kill them both. So the way that we're going to be doing this is we will be using the standard Castles and Crusades rules, and we will also be using the dungeon generation table provided by the solo dungeon crawler, I believe his name is. And we will also be using the Mythic Games Master emulator for anything that comes up that's unrelated to gameplay but possibly has a narrative basis. So with that, let's get on with the game. We have our party here in the first room, having just entered the Crypt of Zarada, and they have two doors, one directly in front of them and one a little to their left. So, first things first, Lothwinner here, the dwarf, is going to go to the door that's directly in front of him. They're not going to worry about this one down here. We're going to go straight to the door that's in front of him, and we are going to roll a d12 on the Solo Dungeon Crawler's doors table to find out what the space is beyond that door. You can see here, that is an 8. And 8 on the table is that there is a room. So here we have our door, and that opens up onto a room. Now we will do the same thing. We will roll on the room table, which is, just realised that I rolled a d12 there, but it would have been the same result a d8 there, but it would have been the same result anyway, let's say. So we're now going to roll a d12 this time for the size of the room. There we rolled a 7. And a 7 is that we're going to find a rectangular room that is 10 feet by 20 feet. Now, with 5-foot squares, that means that we will have a rectangle that is 2 squares wide by 4 squares. So let's put that in a second, and I'll show you what I mean. So, as you can see, we've now put up a 2 square by 4 square room leading through that door. And what we will now do is roll a d20 on, again, the Solo Dungeon Crawler's room contents table. And we rolled a 4. So we will have a look at what 4 is on the table. And the room is empty. Now we will just quickly roll a d12 again to see what doors there are. I apologise. We will instead be rolling a d4 to see how many doors there are in this room, including this one. So, apologies, excluding this one. So it will be one door plus d4 other exits. And there we roll a 1. And then very simply, we will roll a d6 to see 1 or 2 will be on this side, 3 or 4 on this side, 5 or 6 on this side. So we roll a 5, and the door will be somewhere along this stretch. If it's that square, or that square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will be on this one here that we have another door. So the party has continued its advance into the crypt of Zarada, and Brother Leo has come up to the door that was discovered in this second room. So once again, we will roll and we will see what is on the other side of that door. Rolling a d12, we rolled a 6, which means we find another room. So once again, we roll on the room contents table. I just moved that dice tray back there unnecessarily. It's another d12 roll, and we rolled a 1. So we find a 10-foot by 10-foot square room. So that's a 4 square room. So far, so small. And as you can see, the dwarves are trailing behind now. So we're going to let Leor advance into this room, and we will see if there's anything in there. So we will roll a d20 to find out what the room contents are. We roll a d20, which of course you can't see. We rolled an 11, which means we have found nothing. The room is once again empty, but we must roll a d4. And apparently there are 4 exits. So 4 doors. What we will do is we will move Brother Leor in there. We will move Bera to go with him, the guard of the city of Thresh there, and we will have the dwarves in hot pursuit. Now, the question I suppose we should wonder, which door we will end up going through. Now, I'm not rightly sure. Personally, I don't want to go through this door because I wouldn't really want us to double back on ourselves. So either this door or that door shows the most promise. So it's the door that either Leor is at or the door that Bera is at. So how about we roll a d6, and on a 1 or a 3, we go through Bera's door, and on a 4, 5 or a 6, we go through Leor's door. Rolling a d6. We roll a 4, so we go through Leor's door. Okay, now we are getting somewhere. We have found a 20-foot by 30-foot rectangle, which, as you can see, leads down there, and we have 3 more doors heading in each direction conveniently as the dice rolled it. So, we will now roll again on the table and see what the contents of the room is. Rolling a d20. We roll a 7. The room is empty. Goodness, there's nothing in this dungeon. Right, okay, first things first then. We will take the time to move everybody into the dungeon. So we have Leor followed by the Thrashic Guard, followed by Bera, and then we will move in, there we go, Lothwinner and Bede, the dwarf warriors, or paladin and warrior. So they are now in this room. Now, if things are running a little bit thin on the ground and we're not having too great an adventure in this crypt, we haven't found anybody that we can beat up, there is a option to roll a d20 on a periodic check table, and that might reveal something to us, like an extra door or a side passage, another chamber or some stairs, possibly even a wandering monster or 2. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take our dice tray here, and we're going to roll a d20 and see what we get. We get a 1. Means nothing. We will check again in 30 feet. Goodness, everything is conspiring against us today. Maybe there's nothing in this place at all. So it says check again in 30 feet, which would be the end of this room, essentially. So once we leave this room, we can roll that periodic check again, and also roll, hopefully, to generate something else on the other side of the door. So which door are we going to go through? I imagine we will probably go through this one, because my table goes this way. Another day, another room. This time a 30-foot by 30-foot room with another 3 doors in there. I had actually rolled up 4, but then I proceeded to roll 3 of them up on this wall, and there just wasn't actually any space once I'd rolled dice to put in another door. So we've got 2 doors here, an extra door there, and the door that we came in on. And once again, we will roll to see what the room contents are, rolling a 20-sided dice, which we will just put the dice tray there. We rolled an 8. Room contents, empty. Once again, this is ridiculous. In fact, we're going to roll on the periodic check table again, see if something comes up. We rolled a 2. Check again in 30 feet. My goodness. Well, this fire priest and the Lady of Zarada must have fled some considerable distance into this crypt. Rolling again on the periodic check table now that we've all moved into that large 6 square by 6 square room. A 2. I'm just going to keep on rolling till we get something else. A 15, that's a start. Right, we've discovered a chamber. A chamber must be leading off from one of these doors. Let's roll a d6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll see. And it will be more, instead of a closed door, it will be like an open door that we can see through into this next chamber. So 2, it will be through this one here, and we will roll on the chamber chart, which is another d12, and we will see what there is for us to find. We rolled a 4, which means it is a 20 by 20. That is a 4 square by 4 square box. And once again, we will roll to see what the room contents are on the 20-sided dice. 14, finally, something else, and a monster to boot. Fantastic. Now, the question here is, of course, what monster have we found in this chamber here? Now, to do that, we are going to be turning to the Castles and Crusades Castle Keeper's Guide, and we shall be rolling on the random encounter table. Now, Leor and Lothwinner are both level 3 characters, and I'm treating these 3 henchmen, that is Bede, Bira, and the Threshick City Guard, as level 1 characters for the sake of generating our average challenge level. So our average challenge level is 2, which affects the particular table I will be rolling. So I'll be rolling on the tier 1 random monster encounter table. So rolling a d100, let's hope it's a goodie. We have got ourselves a 52, which is 52, 52, 52 humans. Okay, so we're fighting some humans. I've decided that they're hostile because so many of those empty rooms has left me frustrated and wanting a scrap. So we will turn to the Castles and Crusades Monsters and Treasure Guide and find the slot for humans. Humans, numbers encountered, that is 4 to 16. So I'm going to roll 4d4 to find out how many humans we're going to face. That is 3, 4, 6, and 8. So we've got 8 humans. So fully half of the room occupied by humans. I imagine these must be servants of the Fire Priest and the Lady Hamutal. So here we have our 8 human fighters, and they are, all of them are just armed with basic short swords, with the exception of these 3, because they've all got some kind of missile weapon on them. I'm going to be giving all of them short bows. I think that 2 of them are modelled with crossbows and another with a longbow, but in this instance they're all getting short bows. So we shall now roll for party activation. I know that usually initiative is done on a model by model basis, but we've got 13 models in this fight, and so I'm just going to roll this party and this party. Now, the human bandits, I will give a +1 dexterity modifier to their dice roll, just to keep it fair, because I'm going to be adding and subtracting dexterity modifiers to our party. Now, the henchmen or hirelings, whatever you want to call them here, Bira, Bede, and the guardsmen, don't provide any benefits or disadvantages. However, our heroes do have some heroic stats that might affect them. Now, Brother Leor actually has 0 dexterity modifiers, so there's no plus and there's no minuses. However, Lothwinner, the Dwarf Paladin, is actually at a -1 to his dexterity modifier. So when we roll for initiative here, the cultists are going to be on +1 and our heroes are going to be on -1. So it just assumes that they've looked through this portcullis door here just in time to see this lot surging out to meet them. So we will roll first at a +1 for these fire cultists. But they rolled a 1, so their initiative value is 2. Now for our heroes, we will be rolling again a d10 at -1. And they rolled a 9, so the initiative is 8 for the heroes and 2 for the cultists, which means that the heroes party will be activating first. Now, while in Castles and Crusades, everybody can only perform 1 combat action per round, you can also, while doing that, move up to half your movement distance, unless you are casting a spell, in which case, unless otherwise specified, you have to stand still the entire time. So you can move up to half your movement and engage in combat, or you can stand still, cast a spell. There is also an option to move your full or even double your movement distance and charge, but that also leaves you at an armor disadvantage. Basically, it means you're running headlong in, heedless of the damage that you will suffer. So we're going to use this opportunity now, because the heroes have the initiative, to essentially form up our ranks, because these cultists can only come through this door here, which means we want our hardest hitters to move up to the front, and we don't need to worry so much about getting combat hits in this first round, because I believe that none of the party actually have any ranged weapons, or if they do, they might have them as stowed equipment, so we're not going to worry about it here. So, first things first, we're going to take Lothwinner, our paladin, and he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. That's his full movement. And then we are going to have Bede, the dwarf warrior, move 1, 2, 3, 4, as he gets closer to the action. Leor is going to be a little bit cowardly and hide behind Lothwinner, because the usual way that these things go is that Leor gets brought to within an inch of his life, and then Lothwinner has to come and rescue him. So we're just going to move that around anyway. We're going to move Bera to the back, because she's not a great fighter, and she only has 3 hit points, so we're keeping her as far away from the action as possible, as she could end up getting 1 hit killed. And then we will move the Threshit guardsman up here, just to form that line there, and then hopefully we'll move him 1 further, and then the idea should hopefully be is that once these cultists come in through the door and they get broken up, we can then move in Bede into a pincer action against them. So on our cultists round, we have our 3 here in the front with short bows. Now they're not actually going to want to rush forwards like the rest. However, all 3 of them are going to try and land shots on Lothwinner. Now, Lothwinner only has an AC, or armor rating, I can't remember what the C stands for, an AC of 12, which means that these chaps here are going to be rolling a d20. They don't add any modifiers, because they don't have any dexterity modifiers. They're just your standard cultists, and they've got to beat 12. So if they roll a 13 or higher against Lothwinner, they will have scored a hit, and we can roll for damage. And there are 3 shots coming in. I will roll them all together for the sake of convenience. So the first one rolls a 15 and he hits. The second one rolls a 2 and he misses. And the third rolls a 6 and he misses. And now that first shot did go through and pierce his armor. Now let's quickly see how much damage a short bow does. A short bow does a whopping d6 damage. So let's see. Lothwinner takes 2 damage, and that is all the ranged shooting from those cultists, and the rest will move up in due course. Now with Lothwinner down to just 26 hit points, although he still has the most hit points out of anybody else in the party, the rest of the cultists surge forward. Now this first one here is going to charge, which means that he can move over his full distance up to twice his full distance and still attack in the combat phase, if you want to call it that. However, it means that on his next attack, he is going to be at -4 to his AC. So whereas usually he would have an AC of 12, which would mean that Lothwinner would need to roll at least a 13 or better, this cultist here in the front, represented by this D&D thief chap, is only going to have an AC of 8, which means that Lothwinner will only need to roll a 9 or better. But before we do that, let's quickly consult their strengths and weaknesses, and let's get to resolving this combat. So this thieving cultist rolling to beat Lothwinner's AC of 12. He just rolls a straight D. That's right. No, actually, he rolls a D20 plus 1. You added an extra plus 1 for each of your hit dice, I believe. So we're going to be looking at a D20 plus 1, trying to beat the target of 12. And the cultist rolls a 6 plus 1 is 7. Unfortunately, his attack did not get through Lothwinner's armor. He brought his shield up just in time, and the chappie bounced off him. Now, this means that in the next turn, Lothwinner will probably be able to do some serious damage to him because, like I say, instead of simply rolling to hit against his AC of 12, he's now rolling against an AC of 8 because that thief charged. And now Lothwinner gets to strike back. So, like I say, he's got to roll higher than an 8, so he's got to roll a 9 or better. Now, one of the other things that happens when a hero is making an attack, he gets to add his strength modifiers, and also he gets to add his level, I believe, to the attack. Now it's Lothwinner's chance to strike back at that cultist. As you can see, I've just moved the camera again, so we get a slightly better view of things. Now, because he's a hero, he doesn't just roll a straight D20 to beat that armor value or AC of 8. He also gets to add his various modifiers and bonuses that come as a result of his stats. So, Lothwinner will be rolling not only to hit a target AC of 8 instead of 12 because the cultist charged, but he will also be adding plus 3 to his dice roll. So we've got to roll a 9 or more on a d20 plus 3. And we roll a 19, so as a final result of 22, we most certainly do hit him. Now, Lothwinner is armed with a warhammer which deals 8 damage. So there is every chance that this cultist could be killed in one hit with a swift blow to the head. It bounced out, but the result was a 5. So while he's nearly dead, he's still got 1 hit point left. Just going to put that there. So actually, no, I will write it down so we don't clog our table with dice, because every grid square is important. So with that being done, our guardsman is going to come in and try and deliver the crushing blow. Now, he's just an average henchman. He doesn't get any additionals to his dice rolls, but because that guy charged and it's all happening in the same round, I'm going to say that he is still at that -4 to his AC. So this guardsman, although he has no benefits, still only needs to roll a 9 or higher to hit him. With a roll of a 5, he does not. So then we go and see what the rest of our party can do, because as you can see, we've created a bit of a log jam here. So we're just going to move up Bede into that combat. I'm assuming that he can attack diagonally, because at the end of the day, although I'm being fairly obtuse and saying that they can only move in squares and not diagonally, I imagine that this chappie here would still be within his zone of control to be attacked. So I will say that although they only move forwards and side to sides and backwards and not diagonally, they can still attack diagonally. So Bede is going to go in with his axe and try to finish the job. Again, rolling a straight d20 against an AC of 8, so needing to roll a 9 or above. And with a 10, he does it. Now, we know that he's going to roll at least 1 damage, which will kill this cultist, but because he has a damage of d12, I want to see just how much damage Bede does with his two-handed axe. Oh, he only did 3 damage. Still enough to kill the cultist, and so blood has been spilled, and there will be a divvying up of XP as a result. So with that being the end of the heroes round, we then move on to the cultists' second round, and there's only so much that they can do, constricted by the space as they are. But this chap, who may have once been a pastor of some description, he's from my very British Civil War collection. As you can see, he's got the priestly collar there. He's standing in as a cultist today, and so he's going to launch head first at Lothwinner again, because, funnily enough, Lothwinner and the Threshick Guardsman actually have the same AC. The most heavily armoured person in our party is our cowardly Leor here, but that is just his style. So that cultist coming in to attack Lothwinner, the Dwarven Paladin, needing to roll a 13 or higher with no modifiers. Rolling a 14, he does in fact get through, and with his short sword, he's going to roll d6 damage. 5 damage against Lothwinner. See the rest of the cultists trying to move up to support their friend, but unfortunately their movement is inhibited by that small doorway. So, with that movement being done and these 3 cultists not being able to shoot through the press of their allies, we then move on to the hero's 3rd round. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using the word round and not turn, is because a round represents about 10 seconds of real time, with a turn equaling 6 rounds. Therefore, every round is 10 seconds and every turn is about a minute. So we're into the 30th second, or whatever you want to call it, of our combat here. And there's been this great surge at the door. So we're firstly going to try, instead of just killing them one by one, which would be effective but not very interesting, we're going to try and have our guardsman here kill this cultist so that Lothwinner can then move forward and we can actually take some ground from these cultists. So, because this chappie did not charge, he still has an AC of 12. So this guardsman, without any benefits or modifiers to his damage roll or to his attack roll, must roll a 13 or higher. He rolls a 17, unbelievable. And even though it's unlikely, we can try and kill this guy in one hit. If we roll a 6, that'll be 6 damage, which will be enough to kill that cultist. Let's see how much damage we do to our dear Anglican vicar. A mere 2 damage. So this cultist has still got 4 hit points left. So then Bede is going to come in next with his axe. He should hopefully be able to kill this guy. Again, trying to roll 13 or higher. He only rolls an 8, however, so his double-handed swing bounces off the cultist, or he just plain and simple misses, which means Lothwinner is going to have to go in again, rolling +3, trying to get a 13 or higher. He rolls an 11, plus his 3 means he gets a 14, which means he just gets through. And with his Warhammer rolling D8 damage, we should hopefully be able to kill this cultist as well. We roll a 3. He's still got 1 hit point left. Unbelievable. This Anglican vicar is very stubborn. I mean, this cultist is very stubborn. And we rounded out our hero's 3rd round by just moving Leor around here so he can start to contribute to this combat, hopefully as things get closer, and moving Bera up behind Lothwinner as she has access to the, I believe it's level 0 ability, or spell, of first aid, which means that hopefully she might be able to help Lothwinner recover some of that damage that he's taken when everything dies down. Now, our cultist 3rd round, things are still in a bit of a logjam, so there's only so much that they can do. We can argue, why not, that this cultist here in the middle can attack diagonally through the doorway to try and catch our Threshet guardsman. But first, our dangerously wounded cultist is going to try and land another shot on Lothwinner. So rolling a straight d20, trying to get a 13 or above to get through this dwarf's guard. He rolls an 8, unfortunately, so no bueno, nothing happens. But this cultist here, the chappie in red, is going to try and hit our guardsman. He rolls a 14, so he does actually get a hit, and he's rolling d6 damage, and our guardsman only has 6 HP, so if this guy rolls a 6, our guardsman will in fact perish. Would you believe it? Rolls a 6. This guardsman, who by the way helped liberate the town of Zarada with Leor and Lothwinner, chaps who were fleeing in exile from the fire cult from the city of Thresh, looking to move down to a nice and quiet fishing village on the south coast. They ended up getting picked up by Leor and Lothwinner, liberating Zarada from the fire cult, even though this chap was the only one left standing from his 4, I believe, colleagues. And now he's died in the Crypt of Zarada at the hands of even more fire cultists. Well, they never did see that fishing village on the southern coast, did they? So he is removed. He has been slain. Very unfortunate. And this also means now that possibly in the next turn, things could start to move. Even if this cultist does get killed, we've now opened up a space by which possibly cultists or possibly heroes could move into that mass, that combat. And that is all the end of round 3. Beginning now the heroes round 4. So at the beginning of round 4, we have our heroes ready to go in again with another assault. So First of all, Bede is going to launch his attack against that cultist who only has 1 hit point left and needing to roll 13 or higher. He rolls a 19, which means, let me just move that in so it can be easier seen, rolling a 19, which means he's automatically going to kill that cultist because he only has 1 hit point left, but let's just see how much damage he did. He rolled a 3, so this cultist most definitely is dead. So it's a very British Civil War priest there for use in the Anglican League, but for once he's stepping in to be the bad guy. Moving on from this, Lothwinner is going to move up and is going to hurtle straight into that cultist whose lucky stab around the side of the door killed the Threshet guard. So, again, rolling with a +3, he's got to roll a 13 or higher to land a hit on that cultist. Now he rolls an 11. +3 means it's a 14, which means once again he just about hits, and he rolls a d8 damage with his Warhammer. Rolls a 6, which is just enough to kill this cultist outright, which means that Lothwin is going to get all the XP for that one. And then finally, we're just going to have it so Leor moves up to the side of the door to try and come round and support his friend, and Bera is going to move around this way as well, just to keep definitely out of the line of fire. So, beginning round 4 for the cultists, they're going to move up. Firstly, this cultist here, who looks suspiciously like another very British Civil War person, a gentleman adventurer in a straw boat hat. He's actually a cultist for this moment, and he's going to be stepping in to launch an attack. Actually, no, before we do this, in that little opening that's created, this cultist is going to fire his short bow at short range at Lothwinner. So again, straight d20, rolling a 13 or above. He rolls a 16, dealing d6 damage against Lothwinner with his arrow. He rolls a 5, dealing 5 damage to Lothwinner, and then the cultist will move into attack. So Lothwinner's still okay, he's still got 16 hit points left, but now this cultist is going to come in with his short sword looking to hit, rolling a 13 or higher again. This time, however, he only rolls an 8, so the attack does not get through. And again, there's a bit of a logjam, so there's just going to be one cultist with a short bow moves up, and we're once again back to the heroes for round 5. Once again, we're going to have, actually this time we're going to have Leor attack diagonally through the door. Now he is going to use his short sword himself. Now he only gets a +1 to his bonus to hit, but he's again rolling a d20, trying to get a 13 or above, this time with a +1. However, he only rolls a 2, which means that on a 3 he does not get through the armor, which leaves Lothwinner to do the damage again with his +3. However, he rolls an 8, which means that even with his +3 he only gets an 11, and the gentleman adventurer cultist stands firm. I feel like I should just quickly say for the moment, Leor isn't a coward. He's certainly cautious, because in the first couple of adventures that I ran with him, all he ended up seeming to do was be very bold, rush into combat, and then get very severely damaged and need Lothwinner to back him up. So after a few days of adventuring, or a few weeks of adventuring now that they've been on, his headstrong nature has rather been curbed, and he's now far more cautious a fighter than he used to be. So with that being said, we go into I believe this is round 5 for the cultists, so the 5th round for the cultist. So yes, this gentleman adventurer cultist is going to be attacking Lothwinner. Again, d20, trying to get a 13 or above. And this time, he rolls a 15, which means he gets to roll d6 damage again. Rolls another 3. So while Lothwinner is still very much in the fight, things are starting to get a bit perilous for him. Now he's down to just 13 HP. And now these two cultists will be attacking diagonally, trying to get in on him. So firstly, we'll do this one here. This woman with what looks to be a hand bow. We're treating it as a short bow in this session, but she's now attacking with her short sword. So she only gets an 11, however, doesn't get through his armor. Meanwhile, this armored fighter, again just representing a cultist, is also going to come in diagonally, rolling to hit, and he rolls a 12, which just misses. He's got to get a 13 or higher. So that attack also fails to go off. And again, there's not much more movement that we go into here. So we go into the hero's 6th round. This is the last round of the turn. All that really means is that a minute will have passed. There are some spells and some abilities that require you to wait a certain number of turns, not rounds, before things reset. So, with that being said, Leor, once again, going to be trying to lay in the pain on +1 to his dice roll against that Gentleman Adventurer cultist, rolling a d20. He only rolls a 2 again. See, this is the problem. Leor rolls abominably. So his attack, once again, bounces off. He's just trying to jab his sword in through this gap in the portcullis, and it's not happening. So, Lothwinner coming in for another attack. This time he rolls a 15, +3, an 18. He definitely hits, and he's rolling a d8 to damage with his Warhammer. However, he only rolls 1, so only 1 damage on that cultist. And again, there's not really much else that anybody can do here, so they're just going to hang around, and we'll go into the cultist's 6th round. So, on the cultist's 6th round, we're going to have, once again, these 3 cultists moving in to attack Lothwinner. So, d20s will start here, and we'll move across the line. Rolling to hit. This cultist only gets a 3, does not get through the AC of 12. The Gentleman Adventurer cultist rolls a 13, so does hit Lothwinner, and then this third chap here again rolls a 13, so that is 2d6 damage being dealt by short swords of the cultists against Lothwinner. Ooh, he takes 9 damage. Now he's on 13 health at the moment, which means that he is being brought down to 4 hit points. I think if Lothwinner is going to be smart, he's going to have to disengage from this combat and let Bede step in to maintain the line. Beginning the new turn, or the 7th round, I'll probably start calling it the 1st round again, and then we'll go through each turn as long as we need to take it. So it's the first round of the 2nd turn. I'm going to get myself confused already too easily. Where we have Lothwinner. He's going to disengage from combat, and he's going to make what is called a fighting withdrawal, which means he can move back half his movement, which is 2 squares, and he will not suffer any penalties for that. Now, if he wanted to move back his full movement, he could, but then I believe the cultist in front of him would be able to make a free strike against him, which would be a bad idea in this case. It would probably end up killing him. So he's just going to disengage from combat in a fighting withdrawal, which creates just enough space for Bede to advance in half his movement, so he can now attack that cultist there. Now, he's rolling just a straight d20 with no bonuses. Got to roll 13 or higher. I actually rolled out of the dice box, but he only got a 9. Now, Bede doesn't have the same kind of hit points that Lothwinner did, so this could go potentially wrong. But Leor is going to roll to attack. At +1, 13 or higher, he rolls a nat 20. Fantastic. Now, I don't believe that natural 20s actually do anything, confer any bonuses in this rule system, unless maybe they do double damage or something, I'm not sure. Either way, he's rolling d6 damage against this cultist. I won't allow any critical hits or anything for the moment, just because I don't know the rules. So he deals 4 damage, which means that this cultist is once again, like his peers, reduced to 1 hit point. So we now go on into the first round of the 2nd turn for the cultists. And so this chappie here is going to be trying to assault Bede. Now, Bede has a higher AC than Lothwinner did. So he's actually going to, he has an AC of 17. So the cultist will need to roll an 18 or higher with no modifiers to get through to do damage to Bede, who also only has 7 hit points. So if he does get through, there could be some serious damage dealt here. And with the roll of a 7, it means that nothing happens. He's not able to get through Bede's heavy armor. However, let's see what these 2 cultists are capable of doing. The first one, the female cultist, rolls a 5, and then the armored cultist rolls, fell down behind, rolls a 16. Still not enough to get through the armor. So Bede holds firm against all of these different attacks. And with that, there's nothing else that can be done. So we then go on into the 2nd round of the 2nd turn. And so Bede is going to start by assaulting this particular cultist and make sure that he is outright dead because he's down to 1 hit point. So he doesn't get any modifiers, but he's got to roll a 13 or higher to deal that damage. However, he rolls a natural 1. Again, I don't believe there's anything that happens with natural 1s, much in the same way that nothing happens with natural 20s, but that does mean that his attack doesn't go through. So Leor is once again going to stab through the portcullis and try and finish off that cultist. With a +1, rolling an 18, he most definitely hits, and because he's only got 1 hit point left, he definitely kills him. But let's just see, he rolls a 6, so this is quite the mighty thrust, possibly straight through the throat of the cultist, which slays him outright. So then the second round of the second turn for the cultist is quite simple. This chap here is going to move up. This is a proper grudge match. They've been reduced to 50%. I'm going to say that if one more cultist dies, they will have to roll a wisdom check, and that will determine whether or not they run away. So this one comes in first. He's going to attack Bede, as are his 2 friends. So that's going to be 3 attacks. I'm just going to roll all the to hits at once for convenience. 14 is not an 18 or better, so that fails. The newly arrived one rolls a natural 1, so does not get through. And the fighting cultist, again, rolls a natural 1, so does not get through. Again, nothing else that the cultist can do this turn. Moving on to the hero's third round of the second turn, with Bede once again trying to break that cultist's armor. They roll a 13 or higher, and he rolls a 15. Now, Bede is armed with a double-handed axe, and that allows him to deal d12 damage. So we're going to roll a d12, and this could potentially kill that cultist outright. But with a 3, it only takes him down to half health. However, Leor, in his traditional style, is going to try and stab round that corner and wound or get through the armor of that cultist with the crossbow. But with a 2, even with his +1, he fails miserably. So we then go on to the cultist's third round, where these 3 are once again going to be attacking Bede. It's not an exciting combat, but it will do. The first one fails. The second one fails. Remember, 18s or higher. And the third one, so close, gets a 17. Close, but no cigar. And so we go on to the 4th round for our heroes. 4th round of the second turn. So on the 4th round of the second turn, we are going to have Bede launch another attack on this cultist here in an attempt to bring him down. He's brought him down to half health already. Hopefully this time he will be able to kill him outright. So hitting, needs to roll a 13, which he gets just bang on. So with this, if we get 3 or more damage, not only will that cultist be killed, but then the rest of these chaps will have to take a wisdom save in order to stay and fight. Now, if they do have to roll a wisdom save, they'll have to roll an 18 or higher, because wisdom, I've decided, is not their primary attribute and they get no bonuses. So how much damage do we roll? We roll a whopping 10 damage. So with his 2-handed axe, he cuts this cultist in half and he is slain. And so gory is the sight. These chaps must all take a wisdom savings, a wisdom test, I suppose, a wisdom saving throw with no modifiers to see if they run and hide. So target number of 18. With a 5, this one flees. With a 10, this one flees. And with a 14, this armored chappie flees. So I suppose the best thing for us to find out is, which door do they run away down? Do they run away down this door or this door? We will roll a d6, and on a 1 to 3, they will escape through the left-hand door, or the southern entrance, because I've moved the camera around, or on a 4 through 6, they will escape through the northern entrance, which means they could ending up in whatever door, whatever room this is. So let's roll a d6, oh goodness, and find out which exit they flee down. The roll of a 2, they flee down the southern exit here. So we know that there are at least 3 badly shaken up cultists still at large somewhere in the crypt. We imagine that they're probably running back to the fire priest Denby and the lady Hamutal, who of course are the ones we are here to kill. So that ends our combat. Now our heroes are going to move into this small chamber, and first things first, we are going to make sure that old Loftwinner here is okay, because he's only down to 4 HP. Now, what we're going to do first of all, Bearer here, she has a small spell, a level 0 spell, I believe, called First Aid. Now, usually that doesn't actually recover any hit points. It just allows the stopping of bleeding from any cutting wounds. However, I haven't actually been recording cutting wounds. One can imagine that everybody's got swords. There probably is going to be some cutting wounds. So I'm just going to say that for this First Aid spell, it will recover D4 hit points. And with a 4, Loftwinner is now back up to 8 HP. Now, his friend Leor, the cleric, also has Cure Light Wounds, which means that he can restore up to 8 hit points with the spell by laying hands on him there, which is exactly what he will do now. And with a roll of a 7, we find Loftwinner now back up to 15 HP, which is good, but that also means that that healing spell will not be available in this final showdown with Denby and Lady Hammertal. And that's where we're going to draw this video to a close. I apologise that it was a bit of a slow starter one. I'm really trying my hand at relying on lots of random dice rolling, random generation, to really create a kind of procedural adventure, especially with these dungeon crawls. This is the first dungeon crawl I've run in this little solo campaign I've been playing. And this is, of course, the first video that I've actually filmed in this campaign. I believe this is session 3 or 4 of my solo game. And yes, so I hope that you enjoyed it. Like I say, I apologise that it was a slow start and that the combat was a bit grindy. But hopefully, the second video that I'll be doing, we will have our showdown with Fire Priest Denby and Lady Hammertal, and our heroes will be able to return to the surface, leave the Crypt of Zarada, and continue their fight against the fire cult on the surface. So until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. God bless. Cheers.